All right, friends. So we are going to start our dot day project, and we are using lots of elements of art for this project. So we've talked about those elements of art: lines and shapes and colors and values, texture, space. All of those are super important in art. For this project, we're using three major elements: lines, colors, and shape. So the first is we have our shape, circle, okay? So our circle is also just kind of like a big dot, because remember, this is based on our book, The Dot. So think of this as our giant dot, and we're going to draw something super awesome inside of our dot. So you each have on your table a piece of paper, just like this, that has a circle. Now your circle's in pencil, so you can see mine, I just traced it in a Sharpie. But I want you to take that paper, and the first thing that you're gonna do is write your name and teacher code. Remember, the first thing that we do is always the same. Pick up your pencil and write your name. You can write your name on this anywhere you want, as long as it's not inside the circle. So I'm gonna just write mine up here in the top corner. I'm gonna write Mrs. Gleiser. I want you to write your name. And then don't forget your teacher code, the first letter of your teacher's name and your grade level, which is 1, because you're in first grade. So write that teacher code right underneath of your name, and then we're gonna get started. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is add a little emphasis with color. Now, emphasis is a really good art word. Emphasis means that it's drawing our attention. Okay, it's drawing our focus to something on our paper. Now, the way that we're going to add emphasis is by adding color, because we are only going to add color to a small part of our picture, the middle. Everything else is going to be done with a black Sharpie, and so there's not going to be color on anything. So we are going to start by making a couple lines in the center of our circle. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to start right about the middle, and I'm going to start by drawing a wavy line. Your wavy line does not need to look like mine. It can look however you want, but I have one wavy line. Next, I'm going to add another wavy line that looks very much the same as this, but it's going to be a little lower. Think about a finger width down. So if you need to, put your finger next to that line and make a dot. And then I'm going to draw a line that looks almost exactly the same, just a little lower. All right, so that's our first two lines. We're going to do that a couple more times. What we're going to create is this kind of big section in the middle that we can color. You're going to want to use about 4 or 5 lines here. All right, here we go. That's 3 lines. 4, and I think I'm going to add another one. 5. Notice all my lines follow the same curve. All right, so I've got my lines. Next, we're going to add color. Now you can add color with any of the colors you want, but you do need to grab your markers. So I have a box of markers right here. You need to grab your markers out of the container at your table. So open the first drawer, find your container of markers that has your number on it. All right. Remember to also grab a baby wipe so that you can wipe those markers down when you're done. And I want you to make this middle section full of color. Now, you could choose a color scheme. So maybe you remember some of those important colors like primary colors or secondary colors. And we're going to learn about those even more in the next couple projects. Maybe you want to add a pattern. Remember, a pattern is something that repeats. So you could do a pattern, or you could just color some of your favorite colors. It's totally up to you. I think I'm going to start with purple because I really like the color purple. Make sure when you're coloring, you're doing it as neatly as you can. Don't scribble. We want this to look nice and neat. We don't want a lot of white space left inside of our areas that we're coloring. We also want to do our very best if we can to stay inside of the lines. All right, so I've got the middle colored. Now what? So the next thing that we're going to do for our picture is we're going to fill in the rest of the circle. And to do that, the only thing that you need is a Sharpie. So grab your Sharpie and we're going to draw lines and we're going to draw shapes and we're going to fill this in as neatly as we can with as many different patterns or repetitions, doing something over and over again as we can. Now, a great way to start this is to split our circle up into different sections. So for instance, I can take my Sharpie and maybe I want to draw a line here. I could draw something like straight lines in here over and over again. Then maybe I'm going to break it up down here. Maybe I want to add lots of triangles in there. So I'm going to draw a few lines breaking up my circle. So the bottom of my circle is broken up. Let's break up the top. All right. So almost looks kind of like a soccer ball with some colors going through the middle. But now in each section, I'm going to draw a different pattern. All right. So that might look like coming to a section right here. And maybe I want to draw a pattern of straight lines and wavy lines over and over again because a pattern repeats. So my pattern would look like straight line, wavy line, straight line, wavy line, straight line, wavy line, over and over and over until I fill up the entire section. Notice my lines are going from the top of my line to the bottom. Then I'm going to go to another section. So maybe I want to fill in this spot right here. Maybe with this spot, I want to draw zigzag lines. Instead of doing a pattern of two different types of lines, this time I'm only drawing zigzag lines. I'm doing some repetition. So I've now filled in that next section. Maybe I want to do some shapes up here. So in this big section up here, I'm going to draw some triangles. I'm going to make my triangles go in all sorts of different ways, kind of like stripes. Upside down triangles, right side up triangles, until I fill it in. All right, so I want you to keep filling in your sections, just like I'm doing. And I want you to fill the whole circle in. I'll be back once mine is all filled in so you can see what we're gonna do next. All right, so we're back. My circle is finished, almost. So the next thing that we need to do, we need to make this a true dot. We've got to cut it out. So grab your scissors. I'm going to pull this down. I'm going to grab my scissors and I want you to simply use your scissors and cut around the outside of your circle. Do this as neatly as you can because we want to keep that circle shape. So I have mine finished. Look at all those awesome lines and shapes. And we have showed emphasis, that art vocabulary word we talked about, with our color because everything is in black and white except for this middle part, cutting through everything, bright colors up against black and white. And now we have that circled dot. Now, you have one less thing to do. You just cut your dot out, which means you probably cut your name off of it. So flip that baby over, grab your pencil, and once again, write your name and teacher code on your dot. And you're all done. Good job, friends.